to talk about the resistance that's felt with starting your own business and the fear of change. What I mean by that is most people are afraid of change. Everyone likes to be comfortable. They like to be in their comfort zone all the time. And when you're thinking about opening up your own business, for example, you may be afraid to take that jump and make that move because of numerous reasons. Maybe you had a bad experience in the past and you're just not willing to take that risk again. Maybe you lost a lot of money in the past on a business venture and you don't want to take that risk again. There's a lot of reasons why you don't want to do it. Maybe, I think the most important one is probably because you've never done it. And that's probably the most common. So you've never done it, so you really don't know, and that's the fear of the unknown, okay? Just to let you know, it's very common to have that. It's not that you shouldn't go through that. That is a stage that you're going to go through. Out of that, I can tell you 95% of the people will not do it. They will not go out and make their own business, carve their own path, if you will, through the world. Again, that's just because they're comfortable. They're comfortable being where they're at. I've got family members that are comfortable being where they're at. Friends of mine, a lot of friends of mine that are comfortable being where they're at. They're comfortable living paycheck to paycheck, and they're okay with that, and for them, that's fine. If they're happy, things are going all right for them, so be it. About 5% of the people are actually going to do something, okay? 5% of the people are going to actually want more, and they're going to try to do things to get more because that's how you get it. Like I said, 95% of the people are comfortable, 5% of them are not. There may be an even larger percent that aren't comfortable, but the ones that are actually going to do something, a very small percentage, okay? I can tell you that 1%, out of that 5% of people that are not comfortable, out of that 5%, there's probably 1% that are actually going to do something. They're actually going to make the changes that are needed and the sacrifices that are needed so that they can make a better life for themselves and their family. All right. Why is this fear? Why is it there? It's there because it's something you don't know. It's like the first time you tried to swim, and I was scared to death of the water, and so I didn't know how to swim, so of course I was scared to death of it. That's the fear of starting your own business. But if you take the initiative to decide what you want to do in a business, and you do your research and you do the learning about the business, now your fear level will come down. Okay, and then pretty soon you're not afraid to go try this thing, and then you just up and you do it. But the fear is real because it's just something you've never done before. And sometimes you got to step out of the box. I can remember my lawn care company down in Florida was suffering. When I would go down to Florida and I would do door hangers, I would get a lot of business. When I would leave, my guys would lose the business that I got. And finally, I'm like, okay, what are we doing? We got to do something. We got to think out of the box. Something's got to work for us all the time. I can't be down there all the time because I'm in Wisconsin with the other businesses. So what we did, internet was out. We're like, hey, why don't we build a website? We're like, okay, we don't know anything about it, but we're going to take a shot and we're going to try and learn it. And so sure enough, it was one of the best things we ever did. But we had to step aside and get out of the box because that box was holding us back. Okay, there's solutions out there. There's solutions to everything. You just have to find out what they are. You have to search for them. All right. People who work hard for the money, it's another reason that the fear is there. If you work paycheck to paycheck and you're trying to save money to start a business, a lot of times it's going to be difficult for you to save a ton of money. Let's say your business startup might cost you $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 to get going. Well, if you had to rely on you saving $20 a week or $50 a week out of your paycheck to make that happen, it would take you forever to build up that money. Maybe one of the things that would relax your fear is, look, I don't have to make all that money. What I have to do is I have to make enough money for a down payment that I could go to the bank and say, look, I'm willing to put 10% down on this loan. I need $100,000 to get this business off the ground. So here's 10 grand that I managed to save, or 5 grand, or whatever it is. Okay. So it might just be that little step. So think of that and remember that, because You don't have to save up that entire amount to get going. Maybe there's partners you could come up with that could help you develop your strategies, like, hey, how can we get there? Johnny, how much can you save and I'll save, and then, in the end, maybe we can make this work. So, and there's also investors. There's people you can get to invest in it with you that do have money. Maybe they would be interested in that for a certain portion of the profits, So there's a lot of different ways to look at that. Anyway, but the big fear, I think, when you're living paycheck to paycheck is, look, if I can afford to put aside $50 and I do that for the next 3 years out of every check, and I'm going to take all that money and I'm going to dump it into this. Well, during that time, to help eliminate your fear of investing every dime you've been able to put away, is learn during that time. Learn, study, so that you have a lot of the knowledge needed to succeed in your business. Okay? That'll help you during that time. All right? Anyway, I can tell you examples of like lawn care and landscaping. For me, I was working a job and I started these on the side, and I started the lawn care on the side. And then as I made money from that, we took that money and we put it into landscaping equipment, like a used skid steer and an old used dump truck and things like that. And that got that business off the ground and going. So that being said, we have been able to, it's really a whole nother video, but we were constantly looking for other ways to get to where we need to be. Okay, so today we have like 8 businesses that are all sources of income that just keep funneling into the company as a whole, but none of that would have been possible if we didn't take the steps needed ahead of time, and we just didn't keep, if we hadn't have kept putting our money aside instead of blowing it in a tavern and blowing it on foolish things like a new car, a new truck, so on and so forth, we just kept reinvesting our money, okay? Anyway, one of the things that I will tell you, fear of the unknown is a real deal, and the reason your fear is there, and it is so real, is because you haven't done it, okay? You have to make sure, if you're going to take that leap of faith, if you're one of those people that want more for yourself and your family, at some point you're going to have to take that leap of faith. Don't keep saying, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it someday, because that day never comes, it just doesn't. So I remember that no changes will come unless changes are made. And I heard that statement from someone. I want you to really absorb that in. No changes will come unless changes are made. If you sit there with your job day after day after day and you don't save money and you don't try to get ahead, you don't try to put aside money, you don't try to learn another business trade or something, the only thing guaranteed there is with no changes being made, there aren't going to be any changes, Everything's going to be the same. It's going to be the same this year as it is next year. The only difference is it's going to be worse next year. You know why? Every raise you get, the cost of inflation comes up and takes that away from you, okay? So you really don't come out any farther ahead. The only thing that's getting worse for you, besides the cost of living, is the fact that you're getting older. And pretty soon, you're going to hit an age when you hit your 40s and 50s and 60s, and you're going to be like, hey, I don't want to take a risk now. I'm getting too old for that shit, right? So I don't want to take that risk. Then you've missed the bubble. Your bubble of opportunity has came and gone, and it's not coming back. Because age stops for no one. Believe me on that. It stops for nobody. It was yesterday that I was 18, okay? So make the changes now while you can. If you want better for your life, for you, your family, your wife, if you want better, you got to make those changes today. Don't wait. Tomorrow never comes. All right, that being said, the reason that people succeed in life at a lot of businesses, you can look around you, you see these big stores everywhere, and they're popping up, Walmarts and so on and so forth, Petco's and all these other things. It's because people took risks. They took chances in life, and they did things. They stepped out of their box and out of their comfort zone, and I'm sure a lot of them took every penny they had and they stuck it into that business to make it work. And that's why they are there today. They succeeded in what they were doing. They became the best at what they were doing. They outsmarted their competition, and they're high up on the ladder. Even if some of them aren't high up on the ladder, if they still exist, they did more than you did, right? And hopefully they'll continue to get better and better and put on more branches, more stores, more whatever, right? All right. They took the chances. That's the bottom line. I took chances when I started the lawn care, the landscaping, and so on and so forth, and the different retail establishments I have, and I didn't know jack shit about one of those. I had to learn about every single one of them. And there's nobody, if you're like me and you don't have a silver spoon in your mouth and daddy's not starting all these businesses for you, then you have to learn them yourself, or you have to learn one. Start at one and then go from there. Make that work, take that chance, and then you'll find out that you can actually see a lot better money, and you'll see the return on your investment. And then that's when you're really going to start to understand what money is and what it's all about, okay? When you're in a job, you're working for your money, okay? And when you get outside of that and you get a bunch of revenue streams coming in, say one business, you start one business. All of a sudden revenue is coming in. You can keep at your job over here, get this thing started up on the side, and let that start generating money. All of a sudden, you'll see that money coming in, and you take that money and you reinvest it into something else. Don't spend it. Reinvest it either into that business and make that business bigger until it just explodes on you, or invest it into other things, okay? But that's how you do it. That's how I did it anyway. I'm sure there's a million ways to do it. And I'm sure you guys have heard from every Tom, Dick, and Harry out there, because they're all preaching about how easy it is to make $1 gazillion on the internet and or on YouTube or whatever, and it's just not that easy. They're a bunch of frickin' liars, the majority of these people. So I'm from the old school. I believe that you need to work for your money, and working for your money is one thing if you're working with your hands, and that is fantastic. That's how I started. That's how I continue to do today. But what I had to learn to do is work with this way more. Use my mind way more, and as soon as I started doing that, I started making a lot more money. If I relied on these to get everything done, I would be nowhere, because my back's wearing out, my knees are wearing out. Eventually, I'm going to wear out, and I'm going to be done. So I had to start using my noggin up here. I had to start thinking outside the box. Again, I've got to do something different. So I started these things and moved on from there. I always look at having a job. I say, I've heard this from other people, so it's not a saying of mine, but a job stands for just over broke. And I understand that, and I want to emphasize that to all of you, because I was in the retail field. I had a job 13 years, got fired from Kmart. Most of you know that. Those of you who don't, I was brought in one day after Christmas, real quick. I was canned after 13 years. I realized that never again would I let corporate America grab me by the nuts and just hang on, So that's not going to happen to me anymore. And I changed my whole life because of that, okay? That's probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because it forced me to do something else. It forced me to get going on something else. Luckily, I had the lawn care gig going on the side already, so I was already had my foot in. Now both feet are coming in. And now it's on me, and I've got to make this work. I can remember going to work and being frustrated by the decisions that were being made by the higher-ups than me. And I thought to myself, I have no control over this job. I have no control over it. I have to do what they want me to do, whether I like it, whether I don't. What I've learned from having my own business is, if I don't like something, I don't have to do it. Okay? And I don't know, you may find this hard to believe, but I do not get along well with others. Okay? Having my own business has taught me that I can do other things. I have other people that help me do some of the things that I'm not good at or I don't care about doing, like bookwork, computers, stuff like that. I love being in the field. My goals or my highlights are working with people and teaching, educating, and actually being in the field with the guys. I absolutely enjoy that. So I love that, but at the same time, if I'm going to grow, I have to realize that I have to have other people help me with all these other things, and that's what I did. Okay, so I involved other people to help me move the ball around. Okay, continue to climb. All right. So anyway, just over broke thing, I just want to wrap that up. The reason I say it's just over broke is that every single year when you get a raise, the cost of living goes up, and it just keeps offsetting it, and you never get a hit. That's why I'm not a big fan of just being that 95% that's comfortable in their job. They think that there's job security when there really is no job security. There isn't. It's not there. It does not exist. I'm telling you. People will tell me stories, and by all means, you guys leave me your comments down below. I am certain that a lot of you know people that have spent 20, 30 years with companies and been kicked to the curb like the trash. Okay? That's why I'm such a firm believer in going on your own, getting your own business going, and making your own path in life instead of relying on corporate America, who's got you by the nuts and is going to crush them right when you least expect it. Believe me, it happens. So, all right, that being said, if you do nothing, nothing gets done. Let that sink in for a second. There is no tomorrow. Don't think about that. Don't say, oh, I'll get around to it, because a vast majority of you are doing that. You're saying, I'll get around to this sooner or later. No, tomorrow never comes. You need to do it today. I don't care how much it hurts, do it today. Today is never coming back. Tomorrow you're a day older, and you're going to keep getting older and older and older, and it's going to be very difficult for you to get back in the game. It's going to be very difficult for you to learn new things. I know from the mosquito police point of view, for example, for me to go back to school and learn how to get a pesticide license, to get that going, that was not an easy thing for me to do, because I've been out of school. I wasn't good when I was in school. I spent more time skipping school than I did anything, but I had to learn. So I studied, and I studied, and I studied, and I passed, and I got my test. And then there was the turf license, and I did the same thing with that. Okay? But it took time to do that. It really did. It took time, and it was hard for me to do that. But the older you get, the harder it is. I mean, get going on this stuff when you're younger. That's my point there. You can lead a horse to water. I love this saying. I've heard it my whole life. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. I do this every day of my life with the mosquito police, for a prime example of how I try to bring somebody. I come up with this business that makes a lot of money, and it's good money. Profits are exceptional. The margins are fantastic, and I try and explain that to people, and I try to get them to understand this is a good business for you. It's a very simple business to get into, very cost effective to get into. The startup on this is way less than the majority of businesses out there that anyone could get into. And the business model is super simple. I can do all these things and talk till I'm blue in the face with people, and it is difficult to get them to make that leap, that leap of faith, to take that. Because I don't know if they've been burned in the past by everybody and their brother. I know there's so many of these so-called gurus all over the place on YouTube that talk so much crap, and that you can have this, and this is my Lamborghini, and that's my yacht. No, fuck them guys. Bunch of bullshit. That's all it is. Just a bunch of bullshit. Okay? Again, I can lead the horse to the water, but I can't make you drink. I'm hoping that some of the things I say will get through to you. At the end of the day, it's going to be your call, right? All right. I strongly encourage all of you to really think about starting your own business at some point, getting into something. It doesn't have to be mosquito police like this. It doesn't have to be lawn care, landscaping, or retail, or any of that stuff. It doesn't have to be anything. It could be whatever you want to do. But I encourage you to get something going, because there is no security. The fear that you have will subside. The more you learn about your business, the more that fear will subside. So that's the beginning. That's how you start to get rid of that fear, the fear of the unknown, the fear of not knowing, the fear of change. You get rid of that by learning more about it. Pretty soon you're so excited about it, you just can't wait to dive into it. Okay? So hopefully this helps you guys. If this has helped you at all, leave me your comments down below. Let me know. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. This has been George Packard, and thank you for watching.